Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good afternoon to all of you who are attending this wonderful, purposeful, and impactful gathering for the appreciation and application and promotion of action research. At the outset, I would like to deeply give my respect and admiration to Dr. Jory Paul Kainoy for the wonderful opportunity that he invited me to inspire you today. My name is Dr. Hinaro V. Hapos. My love affair with this method, which is called action research, started in 1999 when I was preparing my dissertation for a degree, and that was my fifth doctorate, Doctor of Organization Development and Transformation. So I took upon myself to trace the history of action research, and I was able to gather that action research was actually started by practitioners of organization development in the world. And the purpose of that is for a methodology to capture the effects or impact of interventions or solutions to organizational problems. And such impact would go a long way to transforming the organization into its previous sense of wellness. Mm. So, what a way to discover action research. And action research was intended primarily as a second stage of a research process. What do I mean by that? You see, as a teacher, if I have problems about the computational skills of my pupils or learners or students for that matter, and necessarily I don't know who among my students, if I have four sections, really need the most utmost care. So I will give them a diagnostic test in math for a certain content coverage, like one grading period. And then from the results, I will be able to do a profile about who are the slow learners, who are the average learners, and who are the fast learners. By doing this profile, I would know how many and what is the percentage of the people who are my learners who are not able to cope. Suppose if I will target as the number of students to be 20 for those who learned least in their mathematics lessons. So the first phase, as I've said, is diagnostic. I will do a study for all the four sections. I will do a sample, and that is already enough for me to create a publishable paper. And then I can publish that, and that will become a journal article. Uploaded online, it will be read by the whole world. That in this part of the Philippines, in this part of the world, there is such a group of learners who can be typologized as above average, and then slow. And what are the factors? It could be a correlation of some variables that would help explain why their behavior or abilities are like that. See? So the first part of an action research is actually a regular kind of research. We call that descriptive inferential. Now, what happens to the bottom 20 of all the students ranked in their abilities or achievement from highest to lowest? I will put them together, and I am going to look at the Google Scholar and consult Google Scholar in terms of what are the most effective strategies for my students to learn particular content lessons in math. So the strategies are not the ones that I think I will need to do, but the strategies are based on what works already before. as outlined in research outputs. And then from there, I will select which of the many or multiples of strategies I am going to try. And when I identify one particular strategy, then that is the one that I'm going to use for my action research. You see? So these 20 learners will go through the strategy that I have chosen from previous studies. And then after another 1 month, I am going to give them precisely the same exam that I gave them in the pretest, the one that I gave them for the diagnostics, to see if they have improved in their skills, in their computational skills or problem solving skills. See? And then I'm going to apply a test. If it is 20 or less, then I am going to use t-test. Or if it is more than 20, I'm going to use a z-test. Now, when the result of that test will be significant, it only means that my students benefited significantly from the strategy that I gave them for all these 20 learners. Not only that, I am going to compute what is the gain score. For example, if the average of the pretest is 10, and then the highest possible score is 50, and then the average now would become 30. So 30 minus 10 equals 20. 20 over 50, that would be 40%. So my strategy is effective by raising the skills and of problem solving by 40%, something that I wasn't able to do before. So you see? So that is the second phase, the action research. Now, what happens after that would be I am going to enlist other people to replicate what I actually did in terms of the strategy. So I'm going to ask other teachers in my same school or other teachers of other schools to try and do the same using exactly the method that I followed. And then from the results of their studies, if it is still the same or consistent, that they are able to notice a significant amount of increase in the abilities of the students, then I would say that this strategy is really proven to be effective. Because my one group action research study cannot prove anything. It is the successful results of other replications that would prove that my action research is correct. So you see, that's how good it is, right? And one thing that is good about action research is that you are not required to do an empirical experiment. An action research is not an experiment because it is only one group and then it doesn't have a control group. In an experimental design, there is no experiment if there is no control group. And you are going to test hypotheses because the purpose of an experiment is essentially the testing of hypothesis or the application of a theory. In action research, it is not like that because your purpose is to find out whether your selected strategy creates a significant effect on the people that you would like to benefit because they have learned least some content, knowledge, and skills of the lesson. So you see? So that's how nice it is. And then in between, of course, I am going to interview my pupils or my learners about how they navigate with the entire process that I teach them. We call that, sa totoo lang, remediation. So the intervention that is used for action research is called remedial instruction or a remediation program because not everybody is a recipient, only those who need much help. Now, what about if you have an entire class of 40 and there is a lesson content there that they fail to master and you teach them entirely the whole class of 40? All right, we call that as re-teaching. Okay, re-teaching because remedial instruction is basically intended only for a small group of people who need the most results. Now, why are we supposed to do this and why is Deep Ed creating a program intended to promote the application of action research? It is because as a teacher, we have a new mantra today. And what is that mantra? That as a teacher, I am a scientist in my workplace. And when we speak of workplace, we are referring to the classroom. So other than just be an empowered teacher who has the knowledge and the skill to transfer your content to the students, you also need to be a scientist at the same time. Meaning, you are keen in terms of observing and collecting data and using a scientific process to determine if what you are doing actually makes sense and makes students learn. And if the answer is yes, why? And if the answer is no, and then what are the reasons why they are not learning so well in your classes? Hmm. And to help you, necessarily, you have to collect data. Data from the learners, data from their parents and family members, we call that family data, and also data from the school in terms of what is the extent of the provisions of the services of the school. Right now, does your school have enough or adequate strong Wi-Fi to enable you and the learners to navigate through online teaching? We call that synchronous. Or are your modules tested and properly made so that it can replace you as the one who teaches directly to them? Meaning, if they will just go through the pages of the module, they can understand as though the teacher is there helping them. Okay. If the answer to this is yes, then you are gladly making sense. So now, a teacher is a scientist in the classroom. I understand that if we say, what is the status of the Philippines? Of course, our country is a developing country, even until now. In more than 50 years, we are still a developing country. Are we rich? The answer is no. Are we poor? The answer is yes. Now, there is a study result in the world today that says there is a very high correlation between the economic status of a country and their educational system. So, countries which have advanced educational systems necessarily are advanced economically and scientifically. So, if we wait for this country to advance economically and scientifically, even in our own lifetime, we will not be able to accomplish the kind of vision that we have for this country. So, talo tayo. So, what to me is an inspiring vision that I can share to you, and that is this mantra. I want you to say this with me, please. Okay? It says, I am a first world teacher who is teaching in a third world environment or in a developing country. I am a first world teacher who happens to teach in a third world environment. So, ang tanging pag-asa lang natin is that we as teachers are first world thinkers because we use research as the bedrock of our pedagogy. Meaning, if we just do practice and practice of teaching, then it is a hit and miss method. But if we utilize all the scientific findings that research could give us in the last 10 or 15 years, then we will be creating less risks, less uncertainty, and that we are in a better position to be more effective and successful in our classroom. So hindi ka lang sinasabi nila na guro na tagangak-ngak sa araw-araw na ginawa ng Diyos, kundi ikaw ay isang scientist in the classroom. When I was in my younger years, I was asked this question, Jean, what is your course? And so I answered, teaching. why did you want to become a teacher? My answer back then was, because I want to transfer what I know to my learners. As I progressed in the art of teaching from 1982, you were still probably in your liquid state then, up to today, nagbago rin ang conception ko on what it means to be a teacher. So today, if you will ask me, why are you still a teacher? My answer is, because I want to build this nation by educating the students in the countryside. I want to build this nation. This nation used to be great, but I want to make it great again. I want to build this nation. Why? Because if together as teachers we succeed, then we create a better world. And when we are able to succeed to create a better world, then we can make the Philippines, our communities, and our schools a little piece of heaven here on earth. Kaya ka naging guro dahil takot kang maging mayaman. Kasi pag hindi ka takot maging mayaman, ay hindi ka probably naging guro. Nobody becomes economically rich in teaching. Kamo tapal man ganing ta sa atong mga galastuhon because we want to make our students learn. So, being a teacher is a messianic vocation. I should say that the hardships of being a teacher are many. The hardships of being a teacher are many. And because it's many, marami ang hardship ng guro, we are daunted at certain moments of our life. Madiskorahe tayo. We lose our focus. It weakens us. So, I have another mantra for you. And that is, nagtuturo ako dahil ito ang paraan kong nalalaman na tahakin ko para makapunta ako sa langit. Because the road to salvation is the pathway of teaching. Mga impyerno na ang ubang mga professions, siguro, dili kita. Kita nga mga teachers, kamo nga mga teachers are listening to me right now, kung mga matay mo, bisan pag dili mo mahilubong o ginsakto, bisan pag dili pa nga tiyan, sigurado na nga mahilangit. Nga naman, because every day that you live in your life is always an investment into your own personal salvation. Yun ang napakaganda. If I will be given an opportunity to be born again after I die, I would still like to choose teaching. Because there is no other profession that gives me the most respect from the public. You know, sometime back in my developmental years, 1970s, 1980s, as a gay person, palagi kinukutya kami noon sa aming mga kaklase, sa mga tao, because by then wala pang LGBTQIA na mga movements. And so, I could have chosen a different path. But then I said, I want to take up teaching because, unang-una, respetado ang pagkatao ko. Because, regardless who I am, basta maestro ka, moamin ang mga bata, marespeto ang kapitan, marespeto ang mga silingan, kay teacher ka. Mao na nga, naningkamot yun ko to live a life worthy of respect, admiration from people, worthy of my dignity as a human person. And this profession has given me that. Imagine, after a good number of years, mga kadtong ako mga estudyante in the 1980s, no? No? When we meet now, mas tag-as pagod sila na human sa kinabuhi. Mas dato sila. Taas nag mga ranggo. Pero kung makita mo, mingon gyapon nga sir. Because once a sir and once a ma'am, sometime in the life of a person will always be there, even if the teacher is gone forever. So that alone is very good, right? Okay. So, ang payo ko sa inyo is that you just don't end up with a completion of an action research because a research that is not published is never finished. I am therefore appealing to you that you shape your action research into a publishable paper. Publish that. Why? Because your techniques, your results could inspire other teachers who are battling the same problems as you do in another part of the country and another part of the world. So publication is your extension of yourself and your gift to humanity. Remember this, your research will have a life of its own, independent from yours. You will die ahead of your research. I have a good number of friends who are scientists, namatay na sila, pero ang research nila binabasa pa rin, sinasite pa rin, dahil as long as your study is not removed from the web, it is guaranteed perpetuity till the end of time. See? And not only publication, you need to advocate your action research. Tell people your story because every teacher always has a compelling story to tell. Join this time oral research conferences, face to face, or virtual research conferences. De La Salle University every year always has a national gathering of action researchers, and they also publish action research. So, publish, advocate, disseminate the results of your action research. And not only that, share your technique to other people. Meaning, after you finish a research and there is a MANCOM or there is a district meeting, and then you convince the chairperson or the presiding chair that you're going to have a 15-minute or 20-minute presentation about the results of your action research with the invitation after your presentation that those who would try your technique will just contact you because you can coach them so that they too will have the joy and the intrinsic happiness of producing results the same way as you actually did. All right? So the real journey of a research is not just in publication, but in the utilization. Now, you also need to support your co-teachers in this country. For example, you are going to do a study, an action research on reading remediation as your intervention. So you go to Google Scholar and then you type there, you type uh, action research plus reading remediation plus Philippines. So in front of you will be a lot of action research studies about how to improve reading. And then you also cite them because it is from them that you are also going to generate your own strategy, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like at this point to congratulate you for having decided long time ago to take the road less traveled and to take the vocation that Jesus Christ, our Savior, has admonished us to take. Diba? Jesus has said, leave your possessions, take up the cross, carry that on your shoulders, and follow me. So, what is meant by leave your material possessions? That is, you factor out those possible courses that you could have taken that could have enriched you because you want to go into teaching. And that is equivalent to taking the cross on your shoulder to follow Jesus. Padayon. Proceed with that. You will never go wrong. In the final judgment, when you face the Lord, and then the Lord will say, what, my child, is your number one achievement that you want to tell me to make me happy? And that is, you will answer this way, I left all opportunities to take up teaching. It has been the cross that I put on my shoulders in my lifetime. And now in front of you, I am going to tell you, God, thank you for guiding me because teaching has been my mission. And that is my report to you. Godspeed, good luck. And to Dr. Jerry Kainoy, congratulations for this opportunity that you and your people are taking the cudgels to become healers. Yes, because when you are an action researcher, you are a healer because you would like to treat the brokenness of some learning disabilities and problems and the behavior problems of your learners, healers through action research. Great day to everyone. Mabuhay kayo. I love you. And in case you would like to contact me, you can trace me in Facebook, Hinaro Verador Hapos. And I will be so glad to mentor you and Dr. Kainoy. If there is another opportunity that I can give them a training, I would gladly want to give them a training for free as my gift to those who have taken their crosses to follow Jesus. Good luck, good speed. God bless, keep safe. I love you all.